In this video, I'll be doing a full recap of Granblue Dreaming Season 1 in just 40 minutes. That's less than the length of 2 episodes. You'll be saving 10 episodes of time by only watching the good parts of Granblue, but I still recommend you check out the original. Please enjoy. This is Kitahara Iori, 20 years old. He's moving in with his uncle due to college. His uncle owns a diving shop called Granblue. Full of hope, he opens the door of his new home and is met with a bunch of naked men. Scared for his life, Iori sprints out the house. Just when he thinks he escaped, 2 muscular men come chasing after him and successfully drag him back. Then he later meets his cousin, Nanaka Kotogawa. These men are members of a diving club called Peekaboo, and they want Iori to join, and as a welcome, they urge him to drink a ton of alcohol. Iori refuses. And this is Iori's younger cousin, Chisa Kotogawa, who's obsessed with diving. She's also the best girl of the show. She wonders how much Iori has changed since 10 years ago, and she opens the door and finds him completely drunk and now completely part of the drinking fest. She is not the least bit thrilled to be reunited with a cousin after 10 years. She seems disgusted at what he has become. Iori tries to redeem himself, but with no success. She even throws away her clothes which were touched by Iori, and Iori then breaks down after Chisa slams the door on him. Later, he makes another shocking discovery. Nanaka's hopelessly in love with her younger sister Chisa. And the funny thing is that she's trying to hide it, but everyone except for Chisa knows about it. Anyways, Iori has to go to college tomorrow, but his seniors urge him to drink a bit more, and they promise that he won't be late to school. When he wakes up the next day, just at school opening time, he looks around and sees a crowd around him. He's in front of the school, only in his pants. He's not late, so his seniors weren't lying, I guess. And thus, this is how Iori's college life, a new chapter of his life, starts. He is branded as a pervert on his first day. After school ends, Iori needs to head home to put on some clothes, but he doesn't know the way home. And Chisa doesn't want to walk his naked cousin home either. So then Iori tries asking to borrow her clothes instead. Chisa immediately shuts him down and calls for a teacher, while Iori argues that cousins are supposed to help each other. The moment that he brings up cousins though, Chisa panics. She doesn't want anyone knowing that she lives with a pervert. That's when Iori uses this opportunity to blackmail her. If she doesn't hand over her clothes, he'll tell the whole school about their living situation. And without a choice, Chisa is forced to make the decision of removing her clothes. But this looks just like a crime scene in progress. Later, Iori is tasked to find a club member for the diving club in exchange for a piece of clothing. And he finds someone looking utterly depressed on the path. Target acquired. This is Imamura Kohei. He is an otaku, but way more hardcore than most. And he is into 2D schoolgirls. Iori manages to convince him to join the diving club, telling him it is the way to go. And with that, Kohei has joined the diving club. He is forced to join. And Iori has successfully acquired a piece of clothing. And as this is the diving club, naturally they have to have a drinking party, and there Kohei and Iori are forced to drink a ton of alcohol, even being tricked into drinking some. The next day, they ask Iori to go drinking again, but he refuses. Looks like he can still think straight. But at the mention of woman, he is determined to go. But there stands one obstacle, Nanaka. She is worried about Iori, as he hasn't even seen his room after 2 days because he slept outside. So she doesn't allow him to go. So Iori decides the only way to impress her is by decorating his room, and he leaves this job to the most untrustworthy people you can think of. And as a result, his first attempt ends in a... He asked them to leave, but his kind seniors said that they wanted to give him a present. Unfortunately, while enjoying the present, he got caught by Chisa, who full boxed his head. Get it? Full boxed. Anyways, back to room fixing, second attempt. And as soon as he saw Kohei, he knew he was screwed. The room was full of anime girls, all underaged. This room design was also a... Fed up, they ask Iori what he wants, and he says the complete opposite, a fatal mistake. And it seems Kohei was lured in with a good offer. The room is filled with BL, because that's the opposite of what Kohei likes, and as a result, Kohei gets beaten up. And just then, when Nanako was about to enter, she hears what was going on in this room and gets another wrong idea. And with that, his third attempt was a... Iori is on his back foot now. He has to make sure that Nanako loves it. And what does Nanako love? Her sister. And thus, we have the creation of a stalker's room. And while decorating, they tell Iori that the drinking party with the woman was postponed. What was all the effort for? And at the worst time possible, Chisa enters the room.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Iori ends up isolated in a detached room. And if you thought that was bad, take a look at Nanako's room. As Iori is scared of the water and can't swim, they decide to do some getting used to the water practice, as this is a diving club. And with the help of a mask, he manages to open his eyes underwater and he sees the beauty of the underwater world. But it looks like he isn't into this kind of beauty. And to help him get used to the water, they try to recreate an environment Iori is comfortable in so he can relax a bit more. And during the process, Chisa brands him a pervert. And after seeing what it looks like underwater, he says he's not interested anymore. But the diving obsessed Chisa is not having that, and makes Nanako take Iori to the aquarium, and Iori falls in love with the real beauty of the underwater world. And when he gets back, he thanks Chisa and says he now wants to get a closer look at the marine life. Now, there's an annual event called the Interclub Men's Beauty Pageant. The winner gets prize money, and the diving club need fun, so they ask Kohei and Iori to enter. Kohei because he's good looking, and Iori should enter in the joke category. They can't say no. Anyways, this is a diving club, so they do dive and not just drink. So Iori gets to use diving gear for the first time, and after a while, he gets the hang of it, and is amazed at how beautiful it is underwater. And then he runs to the other beauty and tells her how amazing it was. And she too is happy that he thinks the underwater world is beautiful. The next day, he wakes up after drinking, and he sees a half-naked woman sleeping next to him. I repeat, a woman. What's more unbelievable is the fact that she's sleeping in the same room as 4 naked guys. She is called Hamaoka Azusa, a third year at Aomi University, the one for women, and she's part of the diving club. Back to the beauty pageant. Now, Iori's seniors want him and Kohei to convince Chisa to enter in the girls' competition, because more money. They think it's impossible, but then they are told that if they succeed, they can be excused from the comp and all the humiliation. And their strategy is to make her agree while she is drunk. First attempt, she wasn't thirsty. Second attempt, Iori gets caught by Chisa, but she thinks he's given it to Kohei, a lucky escape. Third attempt, casually handing over the beer, but she doesn't want one. Fourth attempt, make everyone drink some alcohol disguised as oolong tea, but she already had some oolong tea. Fifth attempt, make shaved ice, but he's already full. And right there, Azusa notices that they're trying to get Chisa drunk. Now they have to resort to asking her directly, and as they expected, she refuses. Afterwards, Azusa says that the boys thought she was the cutest and that's why they begged her to enter. And with that, she manages to convince Chisa to enter. Well done, Azusa. When Iori and Kohei hear this, they are overjoyed, but they find out there was a catch. She will only enter if they enter. When Chisa goes onto the stage, she looks nervous. The diving club knows she won't win if it stays like this. So, Kohei devises a plan. The plan is to flip up her dress by having everyone throw balls at the same time, so she won't know who did it. Iori throws with insane accuracy. Shouldn't be doing diving with this much sports talent. And Anika makes the most of this opportunity. However, Iori is betrayed. He was the only one throwing the balls, and he is too late to notice. Iori escapes with his life as Chisa tries to kill him. And later, they meet a girl with really heavy makeup, who was drinking and crying. Turns out she was bullied by the tennis club, especially the captain, which is this guy who also entered the men's beauty pageant, and also happened to have hit on Azusa earlier. And following him, we have Kohei. He's quite popular, but the tennis club captain is still confident, and that's when Kohei asks Azusa to date him instead of the tennis club captain. And the tennis club captain also asks her out. Azusa chooses the handsome captain, who's looking all smug now. He says people are all at different levels, and there must be a match for Kohei somewhere else. And Kohei starts laughing, and Azusa as well. She's actually Iori, and the captain is embarrassed in front of everyone. And with that, Iori has gone on revenge for thick makeup by humiliating the captain in front of everyone. Thanks to Iori, he and Chisa take first place in both pageants. The diving club celebrate by drinking, and thick makeup, who is now nicknamed Keiki, joins them. And at the prize giving ceremony, Chisa is still quite mad, and she thinks of a master plan. She says that the guy knocked out next to her, Iori, is her boyfriend. And now Iori is targeted by the whole year. Chisa got her revenge, and as a bonus, she'll be hit on less now, as she has a boyfriend. An effective strategy. And the next day at school, Iori is treated harshly by everyone. And to share the pain, Iori lies saying that Kohei is dating Azusa, and now both of them end up on the hit list. And late at break, a group of male students corner them with spades, threatening to bury them, as Iori took the prettiest girl in the year and Kohei has a pretty girlfriend. Iori and Kohei try to convince them, saying that it's not true, but no one believes it. And at the gates of death, they promise to organize a mixer, and with that, they're best friends now. And just when they needed, a female from OW, Aomi Women's University, called Yoshiwara Aina joins the diving club. Recognize her? Yes, she's Keiki. They look alike, don't they? And she says she'll organize the mixer. Iori and Kohei feel a bit uneasy as they don't completely trust Aina, but the gang had arrived and they had to go in, so after raising the team spirit, they open the door and they are met with a bunch of girls in thick makeup. They give up, but when they see an actual picture of one of them, they instantly take action. All their efforts end in vain. In the end, the mixer was a fail. And the girls summarize it perfectly. It was like a zoo. And the boys vow to do better in the next mixer. And these are the real face of the girls. And from what she says, it seems that Aina is interested in Iori. And now, another challenge faces the boys, the test. Not much time left, so they decide to try and cheat, the obvious method. And as birds of a feather flock together, naturally more losers come to join in. Each of them showcases a method of cheating, from the common drink label method to the more creative putting it in your arm idea. And all of them vow to pass the German test. Even before the test begins though, two of them are disarmed, their cheating equipment gone. And some people just decide to skip the test altogether. And unfortunately for the gang, the cheat sheet isn't helping. And one of them even gets caught. And as they are a team, the others immediately abandon him. And the test results? Everyone did poorly. But because everyone did so terribly, the teacher decided to lower the pass score, so they all pass. Except though... they had to do a retest, because the teacher found out they were cheating. With the test behind them, Iori and Kohei listen to Aina explain how she imagines the diving club, such as making beautiful memories with your college friends at the beach. Little does she know the truth about the club. Now that she's officially joined, she introduces herself and can't believe what her eyes have seen. Yeah, she's not used to the new environment. After that, she goes on a side quest to find a normal person. Azusa? No. Chisa? No. Nanaka? Maybe. Then he finds out about Nanaka's secret, which isn't really a secret as everyone in the club knows about it except for Chisa. No. And as this is a diving club, the members have to study the basics of diving and get a license. But it seems like neither Kohei or Iori have studied, as we are shown, when they are tested on hand signals. They do terribly.
猟奇的な発想だな。やっぱり勉強していなかったか。勉強してみろ。
Later, as this is not a drinking club, they go diving. And Iori makes up with Chisa. Looks like diving is the only way to move her heart. And then Iori said something too honest, and is hated again. Back at school, Iori's friends asked to go drinking together, but at Iori's place specifically, as they're suspicious of Kohei's allegations of him living with Chisa.
なあ北原君まさかとは思うけど本当に小手川さんと一緒に暮らしてたりしないよねバレたら確実にやられる
And while they're drinking at his place, Chisa appears. Iori knows he's screwed and runs for his life, but is caught and is beaten to death. But luckily, he is the MC, so his plot armor prevents his death. And then all of a sudden, his seniors tell them that they are going to have a tennis match against the tennis club. For money, obviously. The captain said if they win, they get the second place prize money for both men and women beauty pageants. And thus, the tennis match begins. And the diving club members are actually overpowered at tennis.
15 love
But it seems they secretly drank before the match, and they didn't perform very well near the end. But an eye for an eye, alcohol for alcohol. And after a little trick by Iori, the other team players lose the set. Now for the second set, it's time for the girls. It actually looks like tennis. Chisa is surprisingly good, and she covers for Aina, being a very good buddy. And the tennis club compliment Chisa for being a good buddy, shouting, "Nice buddy!" Pretty normal. And a crowd gathers to see the nice body. Next, Chisa lands a great shot aimed at the body. It was a very good body shot, and as it was a very good body shot, naturally the club, led by Iori, shout "Nice body!" and a crowd gathers to see a nice body. And due to Chisa's later bad performance, for some reason, the diving club lose the second set. And the naked Iori and Kohei play the last set. And Iori is really good at tennis. We knew he was 40 from when he threw the balls at Chisa. But it seems Iori's teammate, Kohei, is awful at tennis. Too awful that they have to change strategy. First strategy, kill the target. But that fails, as for some reason the target keeps dodging. And this leads to Iori pulling out his Joker card. Team kill. And due to a player injury, they are forced to swap members. And with that, they are forced to once again release the beast. And with that, the diving club beats the tennis club. As into why Iori was so good at tennis, back in high school, Iori and his friends trained tennis like crazy because they heard you can get girls if you're good at tennis. And with all these funds, they're going to trip to Okinawa, which everyone was interested in because of its marine life. Little do they know the real reason why Okinawa was chosen. But they still didn't have enough funds, so they have to work part-time for the money. One day, when Iori is drinking with his friends, they find a betrayer. One of the gang has broken the sacred rule, and the gang set out to bring judgment upon the criminal, using various methods, and we are shown that test results don't reflect intelligence and talent. They use various creative methods, such as fake texts, making the voice really high-pitched to sound like a girl, and that's what you call talent. And with that, they successfully stop the traitor, but they're not going to let him back into the gang due to his behavior. But Eri still sees some hope left in him. And just as Eri thought, there's still one of them deep down inside. Anyways, as the trip to Okinawa gets close, the diving club goes shopping for diving equipment. And they forget what changing rooms are, as they're so used to stripping in public. And there we see an amazing diving suit based off an anime. It's a reference from another anime. Comment below if you know the reference. The anime is so good that Kohei broke down at the sight of the gear being worn. And they work a bit more to earn money, as they say, no pain, no gain. They had to step out their comfort zone to earn the money, and Nanaka had another good time taking pictures of her sister. And with that, they head off to Okinawa. And are greeted with a really nice house. And Aina dreams of a beautiful youth at the beach, but she wakes up from that dream at the sight of naked men. And even on trips, Iori and Kohei don't stop fighting. The license test for the new members of the diving club is held in a few days, so they're told to study for it. But one problem. Iori doesn't have a sufficient place to sleep. It's all cramped. So Nanaka comes up with a plan. It is for him to share a room with her and Azusa. Well, we know where this is going. The next morning, everyone is worried that he might fail the test due to lack of sleep. But Kohei reassures everyone, and Iori comes feeling confident. And with that, they are given a quick test. Both of them can handle the easy questions. And as for the hard questions, Iori manages to ace them all. Everyone is confused, and we are shown the reason why. He stayed up all night studying so his eyes weren't led astray. An admirable mindset. He continuously gets more questions right, until he is tested on hand signals. Seems like he lost a bit of his concentration when he was studying this part.
そのあたりを読んでた状況が目に浮かぶな。
Then he is asked why he doesn't look tired, and it turns out he forced himself to sleep. Warning, don't try this method. Even if you can't fall asleep, there are alternatives. And with that, the test commences.
大丈夫だろ。
They all pass the theory part of the test. And then they practice for the practical part of the assessment. It seems they're all pretty good. But Eerie lacks a bit, and he is warned that he might be the only one to fail. He doesn't want to suffer the embarrassment of him being the only one not to get a license. Luckily though, he has a mask, so he can practice mask clearing without Aina and Koei noticing. So he devises a plan. He decides he has to somehow practice while the others aren't aware. The first idea is to knock them out by force. Or more effective, poison. Luckily, he couldn't acquire the poison. Then it's time for dinner, and they have to cook in pairs. Eerie doesn't want to be paired with Kohei or Aina, as he'll lose his chance to practice. And by extreme luck, he manages to pair with Chisa. And while cooking, he explains his situation to Chisa, and she agrees to help him. And while discussing, there's a massive misunderstanding. After hearing the conversation, Aina thinks that Eerie and Chisa actually want to go out with each other. But it's all just a misunderstanding. And after hearing that, Kohei decides to investigate. And he hears something worse.
俺の体に重いものとかを縛ってくれないか。特殊性癖の目覚めという意味か。
それはちょっと危ないかな。
そうか。だったらせめてもう一度事実確認を。思い切り俺を踏んでくれ。
After hearing this, Kohei now thinks Eerie is just a masochist with weird fetishes. So Chisa sneaks out at night, but Aina notices and follows her. And after hearing their conversation, she demands to know what is happening, and sees Eerie being stepped on. Eerie tries to explain, but she doesn't believe him.
実はこれダイビングの練習なんだ。
どうして正直に言ってくれないの？だって明らかに上級者向けの変なことしてたじゃない。はいな。
Then Chisa explains, and she believes them.
練習だから。え、そうなの？
なぜチサだと一言で信じる？ってことでマスククリアの練習をな。
Eerie then explains the situation to Aina. Aina says that she'll help him out, which Eerie is kind of surprised at, because he thought she'd laugh at him. And with that, now the three of them will practice together. But a random bystander witnesses what's going on and immediately calls the police. After Aina and Chisa leave, a police starts questioning Eerie. He asks Eerie if he's seen a guy and a girl engage in some unusual activities. Eerie obviously denies that. Eerie instinctively knows that he can't be caught nude, but his pants are too far away. With the police watching, he just decides to lie low for the time being. And as a result, he can't participate in diving the next day. Azusa stays behind to care for him. Eerie then goes to explain that he can't sleep well due to being nervous around Azusa and Nanaka, and it seems like none of them noticed that. And so Azusa tries to think of a solution to this problem. And Azusa comes up with a solution. Yeah, Eerie can't believe his ears.
何を急に。
そしたら緊張しなくなるでしょ。
いやいやいや、そんな軽々とすることじゃないかと。
失礼な。私だってそこらの変な男とはしないよ。
And she even tells him that she likes him. Eerie be pulling two girls now. He's just built different. And it turns out Azusa wasn't joking.
半分。
そう、半分。
But Eerie makes a hard decision of saving his virginity for later. Later, Azusa and Koi come back with license cards in hand. And now they head to the final destination, Miyakojima, a highlight for many of the diving club members. And yes, this is the place on the back of the magazine. It has a special way of drinking called Otori. First, They decide to go diving. Unfortunately, Iori can't dive with the club as they are going deep and you need a license to go deep. So he joins the trial group instead. The trial group dives twice, while the diving club will dive 3 times. Meaning, Iori has to sit out for the 3rd dive. I feel sorry for him. I'm sure we've all had our moment of feeling left out. The club see the beautiful scenery of the underwater world, and Iori is forced to watch from afar. Chisa starts worrying about Iori, as he doesn't get a close-up look at the beautiful marine life. And on the 2nd dive, she notices a familiar scene. This looks like the aquarium that Iori went to, and she really wants Iori to see it as well. But Iori was too far away to see this beautiful scene. And so, due to a light headache during the 2nd dive, she decides to sit out for the 3rd dive. And she sees a miserable looking Iori. She tries to find the right words to cheer Iori up, saying that there's always a next time, this isn't the last dive he's gonna do. But it turns out that he was just feeling seasick. So Chisa helps him get better, and Iori thanks her and calls her a good woman, knowing that she stayed back for him. And then they make a promise that when Iori wins the lottery, the 2 of them will come here again. And they arrive back, and it's time for Otari, diving club variation, as the restaurants they were planned to go suddenly closed, and everyone is forced to join in. It seems Koi and Iori are the only ones sane, as they are worried about the stuff going into the jar, such as 96% alcohol, and they managed to stop some 60% alcohol disinfectant going in as well. The drinks have higher concentration of alcohol than disinfectant. They try their best to dilute the death drink with some water, but no one is letting that slide. So Iori is allowed the bare minimum of 60% alcohol. Bear in mind, this is the normal alcohol percentage of your normal alcohol drinks. Yeah, 96% is kinda crazy. They have no choice now but to man up and drink the potion. They are confident in their strength of mind to resist the alcohol. But it seems their confidence was a fluke, and soon they ran out of alcohol. So the not drunk Aina is asked to buy some more, and Iori tags along to help out. As they get in the car, Aina tells Iori that he's forgetting something. And the first thing that Iori thought was not his lack of clothing, but a seatbelt. The trip just ends with another unpleasant experience for Aina, as their car is stopped by the police due to Iori being almost naked. And she gets even more angry when everyone relates to Iori. This leads to her accidentally drinking, as it is diluted death potion, 30% alcohol approx. And Aina falls drunk. When she wakes up, she suddenly tells Iori that he's very dense. I mean, he is. But Koi and Iori are confused. He also goes on to say that Iori doesn't notice her appeals, and that he wouldn't even understand if she told him through words, so she'll have to show him through actions. And it seems that all of us had the wrong idea. Her personality does a 180, and Aina, who usually tells everyone not to strip, is now trying to make Koi and Iori naked. And Koi and Iori run for their lives to keep their dignity. Not that they had much to begin with, but they managed to narrowly avoid being completely stripped. And this is how Grand Blue Dreaming Season 1 ends. Season 2 has just ended, so I recommend you give it a watch. Personally, I think that Season 2 is better than Season 1. I also recommend you read the manga. I'd say it's just as funny as the anime, and it has some parts that are missing from the anime included in as well, so give it a read. And I also recommend you check out the original anime as well, because it's a recap, so naturally I missed some parts out. Like Adisa actually being bi, and her thinking that Iori also swings both ways. This is due to the room decorating incident, and she also thinks that Iori has a crush on Koi. And thanks for watching till the end, especially to those who didn't skip ahead. I always wanted to make a recap, and so I decided to make one on Grand Blue, and I underestimated it a lot. It took around 20 hours of my life. 20 hours. But I don't think it was in vain, as I enjoyed it a bit while making it. I would be even happier if you would subscribe and hit the like button. And good news guys, Season 3 has been announced. But there's a problem. I need to contemplate on an issue. Do I read on ahead in the manga, or wait patiently for the season 3? A hard problem we've all faced before. Comment below on what you would do in this situation. Thanks again for watching this video, and see you in the next one.